Hey guys, welcome to 2024. This is Ask Me Anything. This is pre-recorded. We're answering questions that we've already asked, but I'm live in the comments section down below, and so is Andy, and we'll be answering those as those pop up. And all the questions that are asked are also in the description down below. If you don't care about certain stuff, but you do care about others, you can click on the timestamp and it'll take you directly to that once the video is no longer live, because this is a premiere. It's very simple to follow along. Just ask questions. Here we go.
Can you build my truck for me, or do you have any recommendations for an engine builder or a car builder in my area?
Okay, so right now the answer is no, but that might change and we'll talk about that later. But right now, as of January 2024 till probably all of 2024, we're not working for customers. We're finishing up our own stuff. And we're quite busy with that. We have a lot of stuff on the go, quite a bit of traveling. We don't have time to get customers' vehicles done in a timely manner. That being said, we built an entire network of builders and enthusiasts on our website, debossgarage.com, and builders of every type are able to put their businesses on that map and explain exactly what they do.
If you have any kind of automotive business, you can put that right on debossgarage.com. Under the builders section, you can put your name, location.
What you do?
Yeah, what you do, what you specialize in. You might specialize in trannies, or you might specialize in only Volkswagen automatic trannies, whatever. You can put whatever you want, whatever you specialize in. What these builders all have in common is they're a member of the Deboss community, which hopefully they know what we're all about. Like hard work, honest work, do what you say you're gonna do, just a good job.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of businesses that we like to deal with.
Now that being said, we're not vetting for any of these companies. It's up to you to still do your due diligence. We've shown you builders in your area on the map. Definitely do Google reviews on them. Hop on our Facebook group, ask questions if they know these builders, if they've had work done by them. Because I can't vet for any company that I personally haven't had work done by them. Just like I won't review tools that I don't use and companies that we don't work with, stuff like that. But the more you guys put your experiences and inputs in there, the more comfortable people will feel using them. And that's what our Deboss Garage community is all about.
What's next for the Shermanator?
The Shermanator, we had the guys from the Tank Museum come down and go over the tracks with us. That video's still coming out. Still lots more to do on the Shermanator. The trailer's all done, but we finished that right at the very end of the year, and I don't want to drive to Kenworth on the float in the salty roads if I don't have to. So it will be at Aquino weekend. That will be the next show for it. So look on our events page when that exactly is, and we will have Shermanator there, crushing some cars, driving around. And then, yeah, I still want to do off-road recovery with it, and we'll do that more in the summer, I guess. Right now, I still want to focus on all of the other projects in the shop because it's nice and warm in here, and it's dry, and it's not below 15, minus 15.
I have one request though.
What's that?
Once the Shermanator gets everything figured out, can we please take it through my bush?
Yes. so we have one of the largest wooded areas in southern Ontario, actually, between Andy's house and mine, and there's no real path. So it's a nice thing to just level a bunch of small trees and build a path.
Yeah, as the bird flies.
What is next for the Silverado?
Silverado is after the Bronco. But because I want to finish the Bronco first. Silverado needs the transmission rebuilt, so we're redoing the NV4500, and that is the last thing to go back in there, and a lot of little small things to like little wiring and that. Like it was already a complete truck, so that's not a huge deal. The biggest thing is just rebuilding that transmission and then getting back on it. But it's on the hoist, it's inside, we're working on it, but the Bronco will be first.
What's next for the Bronco?
Bronco. Right now the transmission is getting the 6R80s heading off to Hughes Transmission. They're going to rebuild that to be able to handle 700 horse. The engine's in there. Exhaust is all done. Vince just finished welding that up. Transmission cross member's done. So now it needs to be wired and plumbed, and I'm working on that right now.
What's next for the C10?
C10, what's next? We got to finish up
Wiring
behind us here.
Wiring and plumbing.
Wiring and plumbing, and then just cosmetics.
Now, I would have had it done.
True.
Except
we had to get the skid steer going.
Yeah, so I spent my time on the skid steer, which
I very much appreciate.
well, it's probably more practical than the truck.
If I would have went with my heart, though.
So the C10's in the exact same spot as the Bronco. It needs the cooling system plumbed, and everything wired. It runs and it moves. The steering's done. The brakes are done. I do need to make the front clip tilt like a transport truck because it can't sit low enough. The tires hit the fenders because somebody put way too big tires on again. They just look so sick. But the way I always say it is the C10 needs like another 150 hours worth of labor and then she's roadworthy. So that being said, that's like 3 weeks worth of work. The Silverado needs about about the same 3 weeks of work. The Bronco, I could probably nail it down in about 100 hours left on the Bronco.
What's next for the Fargo?
Fargo, we've got super singles.
Yeah, super singles are in. We got all the tires.
Yeah.
All the tires.
That's expensive.
Wow.
That being said, we bought the front tires, the exact size that we need, and we got the front rims, which are getting shipped to Cummins in the States. Only one is there. When the second one's there, we're grabbing the rims and we'll put them in. Those were Hankook AM15s, nice aggressive looking tire. Doesn't make much sense, but they look so good.
They do.
We do have, I did want to go with super singles in the back. Found some really nice used Alcoas that were polished. 14-inch wide rims at the back, which would look sick. And then tried the price tires and...
Wow, yeah. You text me and like, hey.
These are the ones I want.
Like, whoa. Okay, so then, we had very few options left after that.
So they're about $1,300 each plus taxes. So we're looking at $1,600 for one tire. That's a lot.
And then install.
Yeah, so then I went to Phil across the road. And I said, Phil, where do you get your super singles? And he's like, what are you after? I'm like, well, something for a 14-inch rim, really, an aggressive tread. He's like, I bought these like 8 years ago. I don't even have a spot for them. They're 445, 65s, 22.5s. So they're not the exact tire that we want. They're a little bit skinnier and a little bit taller than what we want. So,
better than the other way.
well, yeah, Phil owed me a favor, so I got cheap tires from him. But we might sell those tires. If you're looking for tires, we'll put the link in the description, what they exactly are, and you need those tires. We'll sell those $900 each. That's still a really good deal. It's about $400 a tire cheaper, brand new. And then that would allow us to have a little bit more funds to buy the exact tires that we want. If that doesn't happen, we'll just use those tires and make it work.
Yeah. Don't listen to what Rich just said. We're going to put those on another vehicle. Ignore all that.
So after that, seats getting reupholstered locally in town. And then we're looking at wiring and plumbing that as well, so it runs and moves, shortening the frame and building the dump box for it. Right now, it would take up most of the shop, so that is after the Silverado and the Bronco.
What's next for the V10 Mustang?
That's up at Northtown, right?
Yeah, Holly's on board to do the standalone system for that, so that's all well and good. I haven't been there since before Christmas, so I haven't been able to talk to Scott and see where he exactly is, but it's still getting worked on. Yep. And hopefully we will have the Bronco, the F350, and the Mustang at Ford Fest in the fall. So that is the goal for those three.
What is next for the boat?
The boat.
Woo.
The boat.
Let's talk about the boat.
She's pretty.
The boat.
So right now it's a fully functioning boat. It is ready to go in the water. We could launch it right now and go for a spin.
Yeah.
Ian's done a fantastic job on the wrap. We've got a C-deck floor in there, and Scott has finished the 6.2, which we are just putting together right now. So the video on the boat is actually coming up next, showing you how we've completely transformed this old boat. The video after that will be the engine rebuild, and then the video after that will be finishing up the little loose ends that I still needed to get for the engine. And then the video after that will be swapping the engine in and taking it down the river. No, not the river. Yes, river, but now the lower river, because V&R bought the local marina in town. So now we have a place to launch it in the lower, and we don't even have to take it out of the water every time. We can kind of leave it moored there if we want. So then it's just, you want to go boating? It's like, yep, let's go. And away we go. And then we can make it into Lake Erie, where we will not run into the mud. We'll hit the cliffs underneath the water and shatter the whole bottom of the boat, and that'll be the end of it. But we won't get it stuck in mud in the lake.
No, but I'm secretly hoping that VNR think about having the twins build them a jet boat and bring that up here, because there's nothing I would like to see more than
Rich and James in a jet boat.
in
going,
a jet boat. Yeah. Woo! Yeah, that would be the best. They kind of creep out into the lake and then gone. Don't see them for like 3 weeks. That's what I want to see happen.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
But if you have a boat and you need a place to dock it in Dunnville, give VNR a call. They've got a whole bunch of slips in the lower river.
Yeah, they do.
And
Yeah.
encourage them to get the restaurant going too.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's right close to the lake too, like right at the opening, going into Lake Erie, and that gives you access.
They're hiring a chef right now, probably.
Yeah, hopefully.
If you're a chef,
Yeah, if you're a
If you're a
chef
chef or you have a boat,
Yeah.
or you build boats.
or you have scrap, call them immediately.
what's next for the squareback?
Brad.
Hey, Brad, you're gonna have to talk to Brad. So it is moving a little bit slower. Brad
You got
is
swamped with work.
what you guys don't understand is that Brad is a very important person in a very large construction company. Everybody basically answers to him, and he got a lot thrown at him in the last little bit. He's building like this massive warehouse a few towns over, so he's got every trade responsible underneath him, along with his own company's workers. So and that's the way life goes. You've got time or money, but you never have both at the same time. So right now he's probably working loads of extra and is doing okay, but not enough time to work on the Volkswagen. So he's about a year behind, which puts him like ahead of schedule for most projects.
Yeah, he probably, yeah, he's like 10 years ahead right now.
Yeah.
Brad's going to have it done within a year, I bet, his car. Yeah.
So what we do want to say is that none of our projects are dead. We have never abandoned a project. That leads me to the Mercedes though. You guys have seen that one in the background. And that was one of my earlier builds, and looking at it again, there's a lot of things that I would do different now. And I built that as more or less a daily for somebody. A good friend of mine, he was super reasonable and understanding with the whole build too, but taking an LS turbo and putting it in a foreign German car shipped from Japan, where a bunch of kids got into the wiring, and expecting it to be a reliable daily was kind of a pipe dream.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but you learned, like...
I learned a pile.
You learned a bunch. Like, there's no way you would have attempted that without that.
Right.
So
that being said, we made an agreement that there's so many little things wrong with that car that I just bought it back. So you've seen it in the background. It's in storage right now. And I hope to be able to get to it and redo everything that I'm unhappy with.
Yeah.
But for me to do that now, it's just too much money to have to bill somebody for that. There was no warranty ever with anything like that. We did warranty a bunch of stuff, but I can't warranty something like that, which is why we don't really sell any of our projects. If I sold all of my projects, I would be married to them, and all I would be doing was fixing this little squeak and that little oil leak and this little rubbing, and that's not right. It's not shifting 100%. The wipers quit. All this stuff. And we can't make content on that. So instead, we just drive them.
right.
And rotate them between all of us at Deboss. And hey, what do you want to drive this week? And then away we go.
Yeah. If something bad happens, or if something happens to it, then
Call me.
more content.
What's next with the K car?
K-car.
You start talking, I'm going to grab something from it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so the K-car, we do have plans to turn that into a drag and drive, but we're not going to start that. I haven't even ordered parts. We have the engine for it, and we're figuring out what transmission we need to put a Hemi in the back seat, make it a dual engine drag car, so we can disconnect the tires at the back and drive legally down the road on the front. And then when we get to the racetrack, just pop the front in neutral. And you got 4 of them?
There are 4 of them.
Oh, okay.
They're not all here though.
Okay.
So this is part of the K car deal. So this bolts off. Almost looks like a Corvette style like wheel.
Oh, so you put like a holder on it behind the nuts, and then oh, I see.
We need to clear. So like the rims originally must have been like a wild curve style or,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
flat or something.
Yeah.
So in order for this to fit in there,
Yeah.
we got to cut this out, or we got to press it up, or something. We got to do something. I talked to Vince about it. He's like, "You're not gonna get it well done. It's gonna last like a second." I'm like, that's not what I wanted to hear.
He does everything that I ask him to do. That being said,
But we got to make that work.
yeah,
That's
I'm
gotta
talking
fit on.
about putting a Hemi in the back seat. Where we are currently is just putting hubcaps on it.
It's a lot of work.
That's actually Aaron's daily, and he enjoys driving it. I think his wife drives it once in a while, and it gets just as many looks as like the 55 and the GTO does.
Yeah.
I don't mind it once in a while. The kids actually like it. They like it.
Wagons are
But
cool.
we've had people come through the shop, and I tell them all of my nice projects, and they're like, you know what, my favorite is the K-car wagon.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
But ultimate goal for that is leave the front engine alone, Hemi in the back with a blower, a transmission that's able to drive some big slicks, a nice tube chassis for it, and take it on a drag and drive where we can like I just want to pull up to a stoplight and like rev the little 2.2?
2.6.
2.6. I want to pull up to a red light, rev the little 2.6, no, and then have like a Corvette or whatever sitting beside me, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then like, all right, let's go. And then you just shut down the 2.6, fire up the Hemi, and just have the blower whining.
Yeah.
So that'd be fun.
Yeah, just for that.
Just for that. But
There is going to be a video coming up on the wagon pretty soon, though, I think.
yes, we did. I had to do a bunch of maintenance to it, and we made the outside look brand new. So, and I think while you're gone, can you pull the hatch apart on the back and record that?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure it's full of gold bars or like silver dollars or something. The whole thing I can barely lift this thing. The car's mint, so it's not rusted, and the hatch is mint. The hatch weighs like 400 pounds. So we definitely smuggled something across the border, not knowing it. I'm why is this thing so heavy? Like you can't even like hold it up to put stuff in the back because it like throws out your back. So I'm very curious as to what's in the back.
So bets are silver dollars, gold bars,
Mercury.
mercury that they use for like, it doesn't get solid and it's like, I don't know.
Like the balancing shaft in the 55.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to improve handling on the K-car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it absorbs a while. Imagine if that's what it is. It's just like two of those bars in the back. It's like, wow, they put mercury in everything.
What is next for Debocho?
Debocho is behind schedule, unfortunately. We ran into some parts shortages and time. The lowboy had to be built outside, had to be done in nice weather because I had to paint it, and that was kind of the final step. That took most of the summer. Bringing the 55 home took all the way to June, so that's like already we only have July, August, September really before it gets getting cold. So 3 months we built the lowboy, and then the Debocho, we took it to the track a couple times, but then some of the electronics quit, and it was a while before we got those parts. So we were able to just take it to the track a couple times at the end of the year.
You did have some fun with it.
And sorted out a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we're gonna keep building it and improving it. And then take it to the track again all summer, hopefully do a hill climb in it in the summer somewhere. Pete from Drive Sport is building us a dog box right now. So if we can button that up and still keep that manual feel, ideally an automatic would have been best. Automatics win races, and manuals, drivers have bigger smiles on their faces, I would say. Anyway, it's just a lot of fun to drive, so we want to keep the manual. And then we're also putting a dry sump on it from Moroso.
Do the partner.
So we're looking forward to that because we're having oiling issues still. We've gone through a couple engines in it now, and thanks to you, we just go to the yard, grab another one. It's like, hey, it's got like 280,000 kilometers on it. It's kind of crusty. He's like, yeah, perfect. Throw a cam in it, put our heads on there from Scott, and then beat the crap out of it for a while, bring it up to 260 degrees. And
Yeah. How many kilometers are you going to be putting on it? Oh, about 100. But it's going to be quick.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So that being said, like Cletus said that he had expensive engines built by various companies, and then they blow up. And they're like, why did it blow up? He's like, guys, you got to understand that this engine has done 100 hard passes down the track, but he does it all in like 7 seconds.
Yeah.
So that's like 7 minutes of driving in total on like the hard things. That's not, these engines are not meant to last. We're beating the absolute crap out of them. We're doing the best we can, but we're gonna break stuff.
Yeah,
and
you're taking it to its limits.
Yeah, and that's why every time it goes back to, why did you put an LS in there? Because they're so cheap.
Yeah.
You
Find
build,
them three.
build an Audi 5-cylinder and you're like 30 grand a pop. It's like, that hurts.
Yeah. $300 on Marketplace or $500 at a scrapyard.
Yeah. And
Buy
then
a whole truck and take
pull
them
it
over.
apart, gap the rings, put the heads on it that flow decent, and get Scott to deck them every time or whatever, every few times, and then away we go. But that's the Debocho.
I'm excited. I'm
still
excited
going. It runs, fires right up. We got lots of little stuff to do with it, but picking away at that as well.
What's next for the 55?
Nothing.
Oh, I can't wait to drive it again. We went and looked at it the other day.
You gravitate right towards it. I'm like, it's under a
man.
tarp. They can watch the videos if they want to see it.
Yeah.
Showing off some the vehicles. And you're just looking at it like, oh, I want to drive it. But it's a fully functioning driving truck.
Yeah.
Sorry. And we're probably going to leave it as is, get the wipers working. And then that's the last of it. There's lots to do to that truck.
We can put another bed in it. We can.
Well, no, we have to put wood in the bed.
Yeah.
We have to do something with the 4-link because it does bottom out fairly easy.
Yeah.
But it's a fully functioning driving truck.
So much
as soon
fun
as the
to
snow is gone, we drive it out and we keep driving. We can do that another year. And that will all lead into what we're kind of ending up in another question, but that's where the 55 is. It's good to go. Any one of us could drive it from here back to California. It's that good a shape that we don't have to do anything. Oil change, some spark plugs, and then away we go.
Yeah.
What's the latest with the Edison build?
Okay, so the Edison build, we will do an entire video on what's involved with the Edison partnership because there's so much to talk about there, but I do want to touch just some really quick stuff on it right now. If you haven't heard, we are building the first prototype diesel electric hybrid pickup truck. So Edison built a semi truck. Those guys know transport trucks. They from the frame rails up in 1 year, they built a fully functioning transport truck that has a diesel generator powering batteries, driving electric axles. They said, we're so busy with that. We've had so many requests for pickups. Can you guys help us design and build a pickup truck version? So we are doing that. We are committed from June till the end of the year to be finding a pickup truck and putting a little diesel engine in the front with a generator, battery packs in the vehicle somewhere, and then 2 electric axles. Now, we've had a lot of people say, we've had some comment, overwhelmingly everything is positive. This is the right thing to do. We've had some people say we're leaving the channel because we don't want anything to do with his electric stuff. But I think there's a lot of things that this setup fixes that all electric vehicles can't do. So it's wintertime, it's very cold. All I'm seeing is Teslas stuck everywhere. Battery ranges drop like crazy because it's cold, and all of a sudden the media is changing that EVs are not everything that they're cracked up to be.
Shocker.
and
Told you.
and EVs legitimately suck in Canada. We've got the fewest population for the broadest land mass that our infrastructure can't handle it. We can't put chargers everywhere. It's too far to drive between chargers, and we have an extremely cold and extremely warm climate. So we have like a 70 degrees Celsius switch from -35 to +35. So that puts a huge strain on anything, especially electric. So why are we doing electric? With the diesel generator powering the batteries, we have diesel on board. It's your alternate fuel. So right away in the winter, we put a little diesel heater inside the cooling system for the batteries. So before you leave, however long it takes to warm up your battery pack, you go on your phone, you hit start, and your little diesel heater will start pre-warming the batteries nice and slow, so they come up to temperature at whatever rate is best for those batteries, and you've got warm batteries that your range is not depleted. Whoa. Holy crap. So now your range isn't dropping from 200 down to 100 because of the cold climate. You've got a little, instead of the cooling system not doing anything, it's warming up your batteries. Think of with the generator on board, there's no need to upgrade the infrastructure. The infrastructure's already there. We don't need more power plants or electrical supplies to be able to charge our EVs. You've got your own generator. If the power goes out, everybody's got their own generator.
Or if I think was the government of Alberta asked people to, or Saskatchewan, like stop
using electricity.
For heat and your stove. Like watch what you're using for heat and your stove.
So you know that grant that the government gave you for heat pumps that run on electricity? You don't use that. So don't heat your house and don't go anywhere. And you can't afford to buy groceries. So basically please just die.
Yeah, like it makes no sense.
So now everybody's got a generator. You can, if your power goes out, you plug your vehicle into your house and you can power your entire house. Now, that was a sales point on all EV cars, and that's true. You can plug your EV into your house and charge your house for about a day. As long as they are able to bring the grid back up to par within a day, you're okay. If you've got a diesel tank, like most farmers do, with 1,000 gallons of diesel available, you can siphon it out of the transport truck. We can siphon it out of your tractor. You've got enough energy to heat your house an entire winter, even if the grid goes out, nobody in your family dies. Super cool. So that's why we're so on board with this. Now, what's the point then? You've got a diesel engine powering electric. Why not just have diesel? Well, the point is that we are putting a small diesel engine in the frame that runs at the perfect torque and RPM to power this generator, which will charge your batteries. So the whole point with an engine is that it has a specific power band. When you're driving down the road, you have to shift gears. You're in and out of that power band. Twin turbos, 3 turbos, variable vane turbos, expand that power band and allow a more efficient engine through a wider range of RPM. Problem with that is you add more components that break down. So this small engine that we're looking to use is a very simple engine, just a normal turbo that, yes, it's not efficient from 0 RPM or like 500 RPM to like 1200 RPM, but there's no load on it. You bring that up to the perfect RPM, there's no shifting. You put the load on it from the generator, it's able to charge those batteries and then shut off when you're done. Now you've got instant torque from 1 RPM from electric motors driving your axles, and until you guys drive electric, and I was blown away when I pulled the tank behind Topsy, that it just pulled away so smooth. There's no amount of diesel smoke and noise and shifting that compares to that, unfortunately. But we understand that there are very many flaws with the electric. So that's why we're involved with Edison. We will continue giving updates on that. Right now, we're sourcing the parts. We will be going to Asia with them, making sure that all the parts are done properly, that we're sourcing the right equipment. For all of you guys saying buy local, there's no possible way. There are no companies in North America that are doing what we need to do, so we have to go to Asia. And you say, well, I will never buy anything from Asia. You are watching this on a device that is made in Asia already. So throw the phone away and go back to the Stone Age, because unfortunately, everything is made in China. That's it. But we will take you guys along for that, and then once we have all the components sourced, it's going to Edison in BC. They're putting it on the bench because we are making brand new physical components to make this pickup conversion work. Then they are making them talk to each other on a bench, then we get them and we'll be installing it in the pickup truck.
What's next for the Dually?
Yeah, so that is up in the air. We bought that before the whole Edison thing came in. It is actually the perfect donor for the EV swap, in the fact that it is 2005, super comfortable truck to drive. It's got all the luxuries, amenities of modern, brand new trucks. We've got heated seats, no heated steering wheel.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, scrap the idea.
Scrap that idea. We got heated seats.
Thing is, you can swap in like a Escalade heated steering wheel, or
yeah, I guess.
There's so many options.
Right.
There's parts available at the Yin Yang for them.
Yeah, but they're a super comfortable truck to drive. ABS, heated seats, delay wipers, backup camera, all of that, memory seats, all of that stuff. That it's not considered a dinosaur compared to like a brand new truck.
Yeah, even though it is like 20, getting almost.
It's 20 years old.
Yeah.
It is 19 years old.
Yeah.
So it's got blown head gaskets and it's got high mileage on it. But the issue is that we need to find an engine that is emissions compliant for vehicles that are older than a certain date. So if we can't find that engine and nail that down, we have to go with one of the first builds we have to do is going to have to be an older truck, which in that case, we would fix that engine up, and actually that would be going to Scott's. We'd be rebuilding that LLY, and the truck would be for sale. So that we could buy another truck that is better suited for the EV conversion. We don't need a dually. I still prefer the F350.
And we have the Kenworth too, so, I mean.
We have a transfer truck. We don't need a gooseneck, but we still got the gooseneck hitch for the F350. But if you want that truck, definitely comment down below. You can take it as is at a certain price, or we will be rebuilding that, and it'll come with some sort of warranty for a new engine. But we're not 100% sure where that is going right now, but we will know in the next little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's too bad. That was numero uno, though. That was like the...
Yeah, so to me, it's still the perfect truck because it's a dually, so it works as a tow truck. You can put a stinger on it, and awesome vehicle to tow vehicles from wherever. But Chase did want to build a service truck, but every vehicle with the diesel generator is a service truck for EVs. It just needs a plug for the other EVs to plug into. So you could pull up to them, because you can't flat tow EVs because it wrecks the motors, I think. So you'll see all of them on flatbeds. So there's no reason to, and they're not broken, they're just not on charge. So you pull up to them, plug the EV in there for 20 minutes, half hour, get them enough juice to get them to a charger, charge them a couple $100, or you're showing up with a fire truck.
What's next for the Gator?
So the Gator, we've already pulled the kids around in the yard. So it is mission accomplished, because that's really all I wanted it to do, was pull the kids around on a sled.
It met its short-term goals.
It met its short-term goals. We got it running, we got it home, and it's awesome to bring the garbage to the road, to pull vehicles in and out.
Oh, yeah.
It's so handy. We bought some new rims for it, because that's what we do, bigger tires.
Yeah, of course.
Smaller tires, actually, because the tires are different size. We bought another set of rims for it. So we'll have turf tires on the nice rims, and then we'll match the luggy tires on the front.
Nice.
On the John Deere rim. So when we go through the bush and we, pull through the snow, you don't need nice rims for that anyway. They just get covered in mud and snow anyway. So we'll fix the fender, we'll spruce it up, we'll get the lights working. We got the lights for it, and then we'll go from there.
Do you think it'll be ready for maple syrup season?
Yes. Well, definitely.
I guess it's ready, right?
Hey!
It's ready.
You know what the cost is to use the Gator during maple syrup season?
That's good. Yeah, liquid gold.
Just a 20-liter pail of maple syrup.
Yeah. I'll be doing maple syrup with the Gator. That's probably going to be the next video on it.
No, I think I'm going to fix that. We got a light for it.
Fix it.
I got to weld the plastic. I got to get the rest of the lights working, and then bring it back up to its original state. Yeah. And then make it 1,000 times better.
Before maple syrup.
Sure. We are in talks with somebody that the swap in the Gator could be one of the coolest projects we've ever done. We have a compound turbo Cummins swap Silverado. We've got a 4-turbo LS swapped Audi. We've got a Duramax swap C10. We've got a tank outside. We've got a Bronco with a Coyote in it.
And the engine in the Gator.
And the Gator could be the craziest swap we've ever done. So
that's legit true. This is legit true. Just
kind of bonkers, but anyway, that's what's up with the Gator.
And we can't talk about it yet. So, which is crazy as well. But you're gonna like the Gator.
What's next for the K100?
The interior. And I missed that phone call today from the shipping company, and I called them back right away. I missed it by like 2 minutes. I went outside, I came back in, I missed the call from the shipping company. But Day Cabs has finished the interior for it. They used our pieces as mold. So now anybody can get an interior from Day Cabs for a K100 extended bunk. We're gonna do a really nice dash and upgrade the interior 100%. We can do some sound deadening and insulation in there, and then put the interior back in it. And that is next for the K100.
Man, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be happy about that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
a
me.
lot. You know,
Me.
well, besides you, there's been a lot of comments saying like, "What is gonna like get the interior done?" And
Yeah.
you guys are going to be happy.
What's next for F3Kitty?
More road trips.
Yeah, nothing really. It runs and moves and drives. There's lots road trips.
Yes,
Just using
you said it. More road trips.
Use it.
Yeah.
We're happy with everything. Lots of little, like, I got to get the backup camera working yet. I got to put the gooseneck in the back yet, and just small stuff, but nothing major. That one is pretty well. Like, we put 10,000 kilometers on it this year. And we'll do about the same this coming year, but maybe dress up the outside a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, fix some small things.
Yeah, maybe axles, but for now, again, it's running, moving, driving. So
comfy.
Bronco and the Silverado first.
Any updates on the caferacer?
MTH Fabrication has a seat. The videos did not do very well on that. Most of the videos on Cafe Racers, only the time lapse at the end gets views. So we'll probably just do that and then show it to you finished. But that will be more or less a showpiece for the back of the 55.
They're pretty nichey.
Yeah, and when you're not in that niche, whatever you do is wrong.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Like, oh, I can't believe you did that. I'm like,
Yeah.
to me, it's a piece of art. I've had too many friends hurt and family relatives. Lost a cousin on a motorcycle. So I respect motorcycles and I appreciate them for what they are, but I won't drive them because I have a family.
Yeah.
So it will just be a showpiece in the back. It'll be a functioning motorcycle, and I kind of want to get my license on the motorcycle and then never drive it.
That's a good goal.
Yeah, just to prove that, it works, but it's like,
Could if I wanted to, but I'm not going to because I don't.
I designed this poison and it will kill you, but I'm not going to drink it.
Yeah. Now I'm going to hop in my quad turbo Audi.
It has a
and go
cage
190 miles an
and
hour.
5-point harness.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. True.
You ever see those rally racers? They're just like, from the outside.
The accent is like this.
Well, no, the accent, like the outside, it's like cartwheeling, and inside they're like,
Yeah.
you okay? Like both of them, what is it, the Roxbury? The guys from Saturday Night Live?
yeah.
They're just like this in the car while it's rolling, and they're like, well, that sucked. You think we're done? Yeah, I don't think it'll start anymore. It's like, we're upside down, and they're fine.
But
You ever see the motorcycles that do cartwheels?
yeah. Those are gnarly.
Yeah.
What's up with the 40s Cadillac? And is that what the mystery chassis is for?
No. So the 40s Cadillac was a purchase by V&R, and then they had me look at it. And somebody rebuilt the engine in that, and then it got abandoned. And so they bought it because an older gentleman was moving, and they wanted to fix that up and get it running and driving. Body was paint was horrible, interior was okay. But then, so they dropped it off and said, can you get that running? I was, yep, yeah, no problem. So we took a look at it, and it was just a complete nightmare. Everything was wrong with it. I went through the paperwork, and the guy that rebuilt it, unfortunately, the quote went something like, I will take the parts from the two engines and build one good one. I promise I won't screw you. My rate is $20 per hour. And I'm like, oh, and then I saw some of the things that he bought, which was lapping compound for the valves. So, and then I'm like, this is all bad. So that engine would barely turn over. You could just grab it and spin it over. 6-volt positive ground, but somebody hooked it up to negative ground and fried all the wiring underneath the hood. So it would turn over, but it needed regulator, alternator, starter was toast. There was a whole bunch of parts in the back. We did get spark initially, like we got spark going to it, but then we couldn't get it running. And then I said, like, what do you want to do with it? This thing needs 30, 40,000 and I can't do it. Like, I was just supposed to try and get it running.
Yeah.
On top of that, the power windows were hydraulic. All those lines were rotten. So the windows wouldn't go up. There was a lot wrong with that car, and we couldn't make a decent video on it. So it went back to VNR, and I'm not sure what they did with it.
I have a guess that what they might have done with it.
What's that? I think they paid too much for it to do that. but it definitely needs some work, and it would have been a cool car. But I think a 4-door Cadillac is not like, ooh, it's super cool dash, super cool car to drive once or twice, and then you're like, all right, like that's just not.
It's not a 10,000 hour car.
I can't wait to drive that again. It's just like, it's like, yeah, we did it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So what's the mystery chassis for?
Just say what we're doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's coming up.
Yeah, so the mystery chassis, I've actually been working on this for 2 years now, 3 years.
6 if you want to go back to
Yeah, we got the car 6 years ago. So if you go way back, we built a 4-door 48 Fleetmaster with a charity called Truth for Teens. We're still involved in that charity with Rick Osborne. You can look him up too. We built this car with a bunch of youth in the shop on Friday nights, and then sold the car. So the money went to the charity. I got a tiny bit of my money back because I had a lot invested into that car. But somebody rebuilt the driveline in that car and then donated the car to the charity. So I redid the interior and the paint, and then got it roadworthy. Problem with the 48 Fleetmaster is that roads were garbage back in the 50s and 40s when these cars were out, and you didn't drive that fast. But now you've got nice smooth paved roads, and top speed for a 3 on the tree with a 216 is like comfortably 70 kilometers an hour, like maybe 50 miles an hour, 45. Any more than that, you can go faster, but it's winding out, it's shaking, you hit the brakes and you pull to the left or pull to the right.
Yeah.
So I had an older gentleman come and he saw those videos and he wanted me to fix up his 48 Fleetmaster convertible. Much rarer car. I think 2,500 of them were made. So you can imagine 75 years later, there's not that many of them left. But it was missing a lot of pieces. He's moved a couple times, trim pieces missing, this and that. Odds and ends were incorrect, missing, lost, broken. So I traded him the 4-door for it because I said, honestly, like, just take the 4-door, it's done. Take all the chrome that you already bought for the convertible, put it on the 4-door, so all those flea market purchases and that can all still go to something. And so then we made that deal. But then with the car, I'm like, what do I do with this thing? Because it's not a diesel swap, it's not a 350 swap or Magnum or Coyote or LS. It's a nice car. You don't want the fumes in there, and it's like, I don't know what to do with this thing. So I parked it out back for years inside the trailer. And then my daughter I was looking for some parts. My daughter was with me, and she's like, "Whoa, you got another car?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's a secret car. Don't tell anybody we've got this car." So it's always been known as the secret car. Then I was talking it over with Aaron. I'm like, you know what actually makes sense for that convertible is an all electric. Whoa, Rich, you just said all electrics are stupid. Yeah, they don't work in the winter. Your range drops when you put on your air conditioning. You can't drive very far. Those are the 3 biggest things as to why EVs suck. So it actually makes perfect sense for the convertible. You don't drive it in the winter. Because it's a convertible and it's a classic, and you put a pile of time and effort into it, just like all our vehicles, we park it.
Nice weather car.
It's a convertible, so you don't run the air conditioning. It's like, what are you gonna do? Put the top up and run the air conditioning? It's like, come on. And you don't drive it far. There are so many classic cars that get like 200 kilometers a year, and this one will more than likely get less than 2,000 kilometers a year, easy, like 1,000, 1,500 miles.
It's not a daily.
It's not a daily. It's a car to go to town, grab some ice cream, go out for dinner, have a picnic with the family type of thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, EV actually makes total sense. because your fuel's not gumming up in your carburetor with your ethanol. It's not going bad in the tank because it's 3 years old, because you only put a couple hundred kilometers on a year. So it's nice and quiet. There's no fumes.
You're staying local.
Yeah, you're staying local. You're like, your family's in the back, and you can park it and not worry about it for 3 years, and then just like, oh, you want to take a convertible? I just got to plug it in, and for unfortunately 13 hours. You can go. You just got to plan like the day ahead. Yeah. Which is what you do when you have kids anyway.
Yeah.
So we bought a Nissan Leaf for it, and not 2012 Nissan Leaf. Doesn't have very far range, but to show you how useless EVs are, it had 60,000 kilometers, which is 40,000 miles. And we bought it for $4,000 Canadian. Sorry, $6,000 Canadian, but there was grants out there to buy a used EV. So we're into an entire running, working car that only has 40,000 miles on it for 4,000 Canadian, which is like 2,800 US.
Yeah.
For like a car that passed safety, we just took it and we drove it for a little bit. We had to as one of the grants, but it is physically the same size as the convertible. So
Width-wise.
Width-wise and almost lengthwise. Wheelbase is pretty close too. So the floor is rotten in the convertible. So we're going to cut the floor out of the convertible and then cut the floor out of the Leaf and put that floor in the convertible. We're making a complete, we've already made a complete custom frame for it, all out of aluminum, independent front suspension, independent rear suspension, batteries underneath the floor. Now the floor from the Leaf contours over top of the batteries. So we still have a full frunk and a full trunk. And then we're basically putting this convertible body on top of the frame that we built. And we've got a fully electric 1948 convertible. Again, one of one. There are no electric convertibles being made as far as I know. And it will be one of the oldest cars out there that has a full EV. We're not redoing anything. We're not changing anything. We're unplugging everything from the Leaf and putting it in and plugging it back into the convertible, minus the ABS and the power windows and the air conditioning. So dash will be, the dash is about the same size as that big chrome bezel on the convertible. The seats are nice and low pro. We'll get them reupholstered, put them on the floor. All the mounts and everything will be there for those seats already, because it's basically just taking the whole bottom of the car, putting it in the other car, and then we're turning this one into a really nice low car, like an off-white, creamy white color, nice tan interior, tan top, and this is the beautiful cruiser to just putt through town. Not even putt, can't like whir through town.
Fly?
Buzz through town?
Oh, buzz through town.
Buzz through town.
Yeah.
We'll say buzz.
Yeah.
Buzz through town with the family.
Yeah.
Pick the kids up from school. Go to church in it, and that's all that is. But we're spending. But again, this is one of the most expensive builds that we've ever done. So like we already have a pile of money into this thing, and it's going to take a lot more just to go get ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so basically, this is like the Boosted Boys version of
the plaid.
The plaid with the van, but this is with a convertible
48,
but Leaf instead of a plaid. So basically the same thing.
Basically. We also chose the Leaf because the battery packs are the same physical size from 2012 to 2018. So if proof of concept works, then we can invest in a bigger battery. And our range can go up to like, I think it's 180 miles, 200 miles, something like that. But regardless,
make some use of the trunk or frunk or
no,
just put it underneath.
It's the same physical size, it's just more dense of a battery.
Oh, gotcha, nice.
Yeah, so we wouldn't have to change anything, and then if we can hack the software for the Leaf to let it charge while we drive, then we can just put a little generator in the front, and then we have got a perfect hybrid again. So the issue with that is the Leaf won't let you charge while you drive because they think that you're plugged in and you're going to rip your wall charger off of your house and have it dangling kind of behind the road, and people are going to honk and stuff. So if we can bypass that, then we can put a little generator in front.
Will you be doing any viewer rides and Tim runs this summer? And how do I sign up?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, yeah, and Andy can do some of those as well. So if you guys don't know, we hired Andy. We're still doing stuff at the yard, storage and stuff at the yard, so it's not 100% full time, but Andy's good with paperwork. He's good with communications and people. And you're a car guy. You've been disassembling and assembling cars for
Quite a few years. Yeah.
longer than me. And there was one comment, it's like, well, a good time for Andy to join a successful channel and just kind of latch on the back. If you guys don't know, Andy's been a sponsor of the channel since we had 5,000 subs. Every LS we've ever got from him, for any of our vehicles, came from him. The Audi came from him. The multiple vehicles, winter beaters. I'm like, hey Andy, can I have a car? He's like, yep.
The one thing that we didn't really know about, well, we never talked about, or it wasn't in discussion, was the RT Baker. So that one started out at the owner that brought it to the wrecking yard.
Yeah.
Got us kind of prep it for you or whatever.
Yeah.
And we kind of heard what was going on, but we didn't know like what that was going to become, or like we kind of had an idea of it. So it's kind of funny that we worked on a project together, but not together.
Yeah.
And neither one of us really knew that that's what happened.
Yeah.
Until years later.
Yeah, until like a month ago. You're like, oh, you know that I put that together there first. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, like, holy smokes. Yeah. But there's so many things where we've overlapped.
Yeah.
Like even taking that down to taking the Audi down to Florida. Yeah. Like what a blast that was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've done a few trips together.
Freddie Project Car Challenge.
Yeah.
Or not the Project Car Challenge, just driving around with a bunch of millionaires and billionaires.
Yeah, and supercars. Yeah. that one we never did a video or anything for that one.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know we did.
Yeah. You didn't see that?
I don't think so.
Oh, you should watch it.
Did we really?
Yeah. You recorded a bunch of it.
I know. I didn't think there was a video of it. Anyway, I'm going to go back and watch that.
What was the question again?
When and where is the next Deboss meetup? Are you doing more car shows?
Yes, we are definitely doing events this year. We won't be at Motorama this year. But it's just a little too far to drive and too much work and effort for the whole weekend. We found that that event that we had at VNR, it was a cold, rainy day in October with like a week and a half's notice. A bunch of people already put their cars away for the winter, and then we had that event and over 1,000 people showed up. So we will do another event with VNR, be a little bit more prepared for parking and the crews and stuff like that, and doing a little better weather. Whether we do that in the spring or summer, we won't be doing it in the fall, but we'll be doing it in nice weather. Yeah. You definitely have to keep up on our Instagram for that. That's the best place to find out on current events, and then we'll be doing it in videos as well, like leading up to it. But if you miss those videos, then you're in the dark. So definitely those events, and then we'll be at Aquino as well with the Shermanator and the Kenworth. That's a whole weekend event, and that's in the summer as well. So check out for those dates. And other than that,
maybe some hometown events coming up. Yeah. Possibly the Mudcat Festival if things work out.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
We are doing events. We love the events. And again, thank you guys for not coming to the shop here and trying to get one-on-one time. And because we really appreciate that, we definitely want you guys to see the projects and experience them and talk to us. And we do that at those shows. So we'll have at least 2 get-togethers this summer again.
And the events are a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Are you doing LS Fest, Ford Fest, Power Tour?
We definitely want to do Ford Fest and LS Fest. We still don't have a Dodge, unless we take the Fargo. But
might make it.
I don't think anyone's waiting for the Fargo to come to that.
No. What's it got in it? Nothing Holly. And it's a Fargo, which Americans have never heard of. But Fargo is Canada's version of the Dodge. Right. So that exact truck would be a Dodge in the States, same as we had Mercury trucks, which would be the same as Fords down in the States. Right. Power Tour is a lot of fun, but we timed it with different events the last 2 years. So we timed it with the Bronco, bringing the Bronco home. We timed it with bringing the 55 back. And
this one could be timed with the Mustang, maybe?
Maybe, but probably not. I got so much on the go.
I know.
Did you not hear where all the projects are at what state?
But there's a nice Mustang.
Who owns the vehicles on your channel? You or someone else?
Yes. I own the convertible, is in my name, but not that that means anything, because what I have invested in it will be minuscule compared to how much the channel will have into it. So we need to discuss all that as to who actually gets what. The Silverado is mine, and the convertible is mine. The Mercedes is 100% mine. The channel owns the rest of them, and the C10 is kind of your truck, kind of our truck. And the way that works is when I said to Andy, well, we can put the truck in your name, and we could go 50-50 or whatever on it. He donated a lot of the parts for it. But then Andy's response was, no way, you got way more time and effort and that into it. That's your truck. Doesn't matter whose name it's in. He goes, what I got into it is peanuts compared to what you've got into it labor-wise. And that's how a partnership can work. Because I'm like, no, you can have it. And they're like, no, you can have it.
I still get emotional about that truck. I do. I keep thinking back to that video, and then I'm like, I'm almost in tears right now because I'm like, oh man, remember that came out at Motorama?
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. But
and then the GTO I'm halves with Hoogie. Unfortunately, I think we will be selling the GTO this year, only because Hoogie wants to sell it, and I don't have enough to buy him out. So that's unfortunate, but it's one of those things. We've had that car together for 10 years now. We've done a lot of trips and a lot of stuff in it that gets driven a lot, but it might be time to let that go.
oh, it is.
And unfortunately, it's just like, I don't know. If I had all the money, I'd buy it. But again, it leaves room for something else. And then V&R owns the Kenworth. And again, we're 50-50 on that. I would potentially like to buy them out if they ever wanted to sell. They're very fair people. We have a lot more invested into the Kenworth than they do. If you count my time, and then the finances as well. So we have 50-50 on the cost, and then all the labor was me, obviously. And we've paid for labor on that as well for extra hands and stuff like that. But because I am a new driver, I have now had my license for a year and a half. I'm halfway. Insurance for me to have that vehicle licensed under ourselves and me insured would be about $30,000 a year. So that's why we went to them and said, hey, do you want to go halves on the truck? It would have to go under your insurance and your name for now, because I can't afford it. You guys can use it in parades, promotional stuff whenever you want. It could be a backup truck if your truck is down and you have to have a truck with a wet line. And then we would use it for whenever we need to, our shows, our whatever. So because what we do is hobby related, we don't bill anybody for any of the stuff that we do with it. We're still legal to drive that, and I'm able to drive that. But I have a year and a half to go from my insurance being $10,000 a year to being like $6,000 a year.
How do you get a vehicle plated in the U.S. so you can drive across the border?
Yeah, so we lost our loophole.
That's how many ways can you skin a cat? You can do it any way that you want.
Yeah,
but
some of them legal and some of them illegal.
Well, yeah,
The
some of them
secret
are
is
borderline.
crime.
Yeah, you're right on that borderline. But the easiest way is to take a truck down, put it on a trailer, drive it up to the border.
Yeah.
Send in your paperwork 3 days ahead of time, and all that kind of stuff to make sure it's not a stolen vehicle.
Yeah, so what we used to do is Vermont wouldn't care where you licensed the vehicle, or as long as your check cleared and you did the paperwork properly, they would mail you a set of plates. So that would get you current plates, and then you call up an insurance company, say, I'm insuring this vehicle, and they said, okay, is it in your name? And obviously it's in your name with the bill of sale. So you could get a Vermont title for it. So you would switch the ownership or the title from whoever you bought it to your name in Vermont. Vermont would mail the plates to wherever you are. They wouldn't mail them outside the States, but wherever the vehicle is, we told the owners, hey, you're going to get some mail from us. Can you just keep an eye on that? They would get the plates. We go there, we put the plates on it. We call up Haggerty, we drive home. The whole process takes a couple of weeks ahead of time of planning, because it takes a couple of weeks at the Vermont place. But Haggerty is, sometimes you don't even, or the insurance company, sometimes when you're a regular client, you just go online to your thing and add another vehicle. So you don't even have to talk to anybody. So
Right.
that has changed. Some of that is still able to do, some of it is not, but Vermont was our loophole that closed. So now we have to figure out what we're going to do.
Move to Vegas.
Yeah, so if you guys have a loophole on how to do this, you
Cheat
answer
code.
the comments down below.
Yeah, we need another cheat code. I think we got to move to Vegas.
Which of your builds was the most practical and gets the most use? And what's your daily driver?
So my most practical vehicle ever was my Cummins swap Silverado, back when it was just a 12 valve plain Jane workhorse. So I put 250,000, which is like 180,000 miles on that engine and transmission setup, and it saved so much money in fuel. The fuel was saved for, and I think I figured it out, 25 or 30,000 kilometers. 2 oil changes, and the whole swap was paid for.
Wow.
So the rest was money in the bank. So that was the most practical swap financially, and for work, it was regular cab long box, 8-foot bed. So it hauled all my equipment, hauled all my tools, and rarely let me down. The 4L80, I blew a transmission line once and left me by the side of the road. I fixed it on the side of the road and went to the first guy that I thought had some ATF in his garage and dumped it in there and drove it home. I've never had to tow that truck anywhere.
Wow.
So I've never been left by the side of the road by anything except for the Bronco when the engine quit. The most practical for the family would be the Bronco. The girls love it. My wife enjoys it. It's a beautiful looking truck. It's unique. Nobody else has it. Turns heads everywhere. And really for family purposes, the Bronco is the most practical. For hauling the tank, that's completely impractical. That like is just super cool. The Kenworth was the most practical because now we could buy whatever we want. It's
Anything.
just like we could
Excavator,
helicopters,
yeah, airplane,
whatever.
yeah, we're not limited.
So that is super practical because it's very desired and is very it keeps appreciating in value more and more now that diesel engines are becoming more and more of a pain in anything current. So it's old enough that it doesn't need e-logs. It doesn't, the 3406 is bulletproof. So that thing keeps appreciating in value and is a very good. And now it's practical, even though it's a cab over, right?
Yeah, and a good investment.
Yeah, the 06, super practical project because I'm so happy driving that around on the salty roads. It's like, it rides nice. And I'm just like, don't care if it's scratching, if there's salt like stuck on there.
Yeah,
I'm like,
whatever.
I don't care as long as the interior's clean. So that's a super practical build. The F350 is not practical. In the fact that we spent a lot of time and money on it. So for anybody else building it, it wouldn't make sense other than unless you had money to burn and you want something really, really cool. But that being said, it was appraised for a very high number. Very happy with that. So, and it is still practical for us as a YouTube channel because it shows the scope of what we're able to do. So people that were followed along with that project and saw it through to the end, it's practical in the fact that it does exactly what I wanted it to do. It works. I would drive it anywhere like we did. We did just drive it all the way to Texas and back. It tows very well. It towed the dually. It tows the race trailer very well. The thing is, I was thinking about that. We have a lot of money into that truck, but it will hold that value. Whereas if you buy a $100,000 truck brand new, it's worth $80,000 by the end of the year.
Yeah, by the end of the driveway.
By the end of 4 years, you're down to $50,000, and then 10 years locally, you're down to $25,000. So you lost. Whereas in 10 years, that cat will likely be worth more than what it is worth right now. So it's practical in that sense, but if you had to get somebody to build it for you, and again, we don't drive it from November to March, so how practical is that?
And it's almost March. We're getting so close.
And then the Audi is probably one of the most practical vehicles that we built in the channel because that car has never really done anything significant, and it has made so many contacts throughout the years that we would not be where we are without building the Audi.
The Ferretti Challenge.
Yeah, meeting those people, we still talk to some of those people. We still talk to Ferretti, like some of the people we met on adventure drives. Yeah. And then that car is just like, people see it and they're like, wow. And once we get those last few kinks out of it, it's so frustrating when you do 10,000 steps properly and you do 3 things wrong. It's like that makes the 10,000 steps that you did properly irrelevant.
Right.
It's just like, but we're getting closer and closer, and that's what's cool about the Audi. I love that one too.
And I remember you saying when we were down in Florida, everyone was working.
Yeah.
Like we were working on it. It was like a work trip.
So all of our trips are work trips, but I won't take no as an excuse. Like somebody didn't bring a car because they had one thing wrong. I'm like, we didn't have door handles on our car when we put it in the trailer. Like it was still getting wrapped. Like we were assembling the car at the hotel parking lot the night before and still putting the car together while we're doing the challenge. It's like, I'm not taking the defeat. And it did every challenge.
You weren't afraid of failure.
That was
really
like guaranteed.
You
go into it knowing that, you know what, like we just finished this car.
Yeah.
I've got 6 hours of sleep in a week.
Yeah.
And I just drove 25 hours. We're gonna make mistakes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So it's like, do you know what? Make lemonade out of the lemons.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to dive in. If you think it's crazy, sometimes it is.
Yep.
Sometimes you make contacts and you build a channel off of
whatever. That was awesome.
The Quattro. Yeah.
Do it all again. So
Yeah.
in answer to that question, I would do everything exactly the same way again, except the Mercedes. It's like, out of 10 jobs, one always goes sideways and it ruins. Doesn't matter what you do. You do 10 construction jobs. One of them is going to go wrong. Like the weather's going to suck. The customer's not going to pay. You failed the inspection. Somebody got hurt. But the other 9 go fantastic. It's like that with projects too.
Yeah.
So trick is have 20 projects.
Do you have any thoughts on Cummins getting fined by the EPA?
Yeah, it's a complete joke. Again, if they cared about the environment, they would cancel cruise ships. They would cancel private jets. They wouldn't allow Taylor Swift to fly back and forth to see her boyfriend, just play some sports and spend thousands and thousands of gallons of airplane fuel just because she has the money to do it. They would take care of emissions in third world countries that are polluting way more than us. And by fact of that is I got off the plane in some African countries and your eyes just instantly water from the pollution. And they're saying we're a bigger contributor of whatever. It's all a bunch of lies. They are throwing their weight around to feel important. Unfortunately, these are the kids that got picked on in school and they got pushed to the ground by jocks. Now the jocks are driving trucks and they're got office desks, office jobs, and now they get to feel important by making them pay. That is but let me tell you how I really feel. Go back and watch the Dieselgate video I put on Volkswagen, and I think what I say there still holds true today. My opinion on saving the environment is it's only a tax grab. Unfortunately, if you wanted to save the environment, you would make things last longer than they are. You would make a fridge that lasts 20 years instead of 2.5. You wouldn't mass produce all this garbage. Because that brings in money. Every time you buy something, you pay taxes on it. And if they cared about the environment, they would lose a lot of tax revenue. They wouldn't put salt on the road, so our vehicles would actually last longer than 10 years before being deemed unsafe and we have to buy another vehicle. All of this stuff is very unfortunate. Taxing and making people pay fines and stuff like that is not going to save the environment. It is just a scam.
At least for this one, for sure. Like I don't know. There's some enforcement that I do agree with.
But there is. Don't roll coal. I've never said like roll coal because it looks cool. We've never endorsed that. We haven't done that.
Yeah. Don't dump oil in the lake. Like don't dump oil in the creeks. And if someone does that, then yes, like someone should be on them right away. But yeah, these ones that seem like, are you making that big of difference? Is what you're doing?
You're making things so tight emission-wise that it's almost impossible to get an engine to do that. And then if it's slightly over, then it's like, whoa!
Yeah.
It's all these engines running around in like Burkina Faso and this old two-stroke. We just went to Dominican and the smoke just rolling out of these old vehicles. Like that's killing the environment, and their lifespan is not as nearly as high as what it is in North America.
Yeah.
But But these EVs, well, you're just moving the pollution to somewhere else. It's like, just because you don't see it here doesn't mean you're not polluting. You're polluting in China. They've got no restrictions there. Just go to town and it just doesn't make any sense. A garbage day in third world countries is when the wind is blowing in the opposite direction, you light it on fire. It's like, what is that? That's an environmental hazard. Wars, holy crap. I feel bad for Cummins. I hope that enough people do independent studies on it and say, how bad is it actually? And is it true? They said they were going to pay, but they also deny that they did anything wrong. So I don't know what.
That engine has to be so much more efficient than something that they made
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
15 years ago. 20 years ago.
It doesn't pass the standards of whatever somebody said it's got to meet for right now for them to be able to use it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the EPA said, we're just making an example of them so that other people beware. But
yeah. Touchy subject.
Touchy subject. Comment down below.
Follow up to that. Will you do everything wrong with the 6.7 Cummins?
Eventually. And like we said, we do them when they cross the block at Scott's at Northtown.
Send him one.
Yeah. Send us your broken 6.7, or somebody get Scott to rebuild your 6.7 for us. We'll do it with you.
There's a rumor that we will be going away from DEF in our northern climates.
I haven't heard it. Could be.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That shit freezes.
It's like there's places that have gone through that, used it, and then went, what is it? Like, all right, this is kind of ridiculous using DEF. I think I understand what it does. Mm-hmm. And it just burns off. It makes it burn hotter, and I don't know. But now you're talking every time you go to get fuel, you don't just have to get fuel. You have to get another jug.
But it's also like, yeah, we got to put it on farm equipment. It's like let's put it in a combine that's around dry chaff, and then do an afterburn, and then just one of those combines catching fire because of this regen, puts out more pollutants than 10,000 of those engines running without the DEF.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
You don't see yeah.
Do you see yourself working on more modern diesels in the future with all the emissions control devices?
Yep. As we grow older and the older stuff disappears, we'll be working on newer stuff. That being said, I got a 75-year-old car here. I got a 50-year-old car there. 40. That one's 50. That one's 15. That one's 40. That one's 20.
I see a trend going on here.
65. No, 65 years old. No, 75 years old. And Fargo is another 60, 70 years old. So
GTO.
Nothing's really new.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that.
No, but in 10 years maybe, I don't know. But I will be working on newer diesels with the Edison project.
Any plans to fire up the old biodiesel refiner in the backyard?
Maybe at some point, yes, I still have it. Just tucked away in a trailer, but not in the immediate future.
When is a car too rusty? I live in Michigan.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. Well, if you're in Michigan, if it's 4 years or older, then then it's too rusty.
Here's what I recommend: if you're gonna get an old car, or you're gonna get an older car, if you're in the something that's 5, 7, 8, 10 years old, go to the States, go down to the South, go somewhere where they are nice, take a look at it. Like, even if it's so, with us we have stricter regulations of vehicles that are 15 years or newer. I would still look at a car for my wife that's like 7 years old in the States. Yeah. Yeah, because once they hit 7 years old in Canada, they look okay from the outside, and you look underneath, you're like, whoa. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, like 2 years later, you got holes in the body. Like, well, how'd that get there? Yeah. But it starts from the inside up. And then the bolts and the rusting on the ring on top of the fuel or on the gas tank. Like, that's a common one where we would get orders for gas tanks, and the ring that's inside the plastic fuel tank is rotted so bad that it's leaking because the fuel pump can't click into it. Like, Like,
I remember we did the 24 valve P pump conversion with Alan Woody from Skid Factory. And he wanted to build one for his buddy. So I called you up and said, I have 2 engines. And they rolled in on the flat deck, and Alan's like, I ain't buying that. I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. It's fine. The inside's fine. But he just looks at it and he's like,
yeah, you could scrape the rust off and collect it. Yeah, it would fill something.
Yeah.
Just with the rust, yeah.
Yeah. 7 years or older.
How will your partnership with Edison affect the variety of content on your channel?
None at all, because if it works.
If it works, do you guys like whistling diesel?
We will be installers. We'll do Southern Ontario, and it will be a major part of what we do. That being said, right now we don't work for any customers because it's only me right now. So I am very difficult to work with. I am extremely ornery in how I work, and people come and they want to help out in the shop. The second they step into the shop, productivity stops. Doesn't matter how good you are, because you talk, and when you talk, you're not working. When you talk, you are not focused on what you're doing, and you put something down and you forget where you put it. You don't tighten something, you slow down. So unless you're working in an environment where both people know exactly what to do, where stuff is, and what needs to be accomplished, I work by myself in the shop. I won't be able to do that. I will have to hire people to be able to train them and do the EV swaps. On top of that, then we will be in a bigger shop. Then I will find the right people to finish off all of my odds and end projects, and we will continue buying projects and continue doing cool swaps. So we'll have, we got a shop in mind with multiple bays. And a large storage facility. We're already thinking that far ahead. So if that's the case, then 80% of the bays will be EV swaps, and the other 20% will be my toys, our toys, and we'll be finishing those up. We'll hire competent people to continue doing it, and I can tell them, take the engine out of this and put it into there, do this and do that. And I will take more of a management role, but I will always have dirty hands. I will always be in there full tilt. We'll hire the right people to do the paperwork and right people to do the accounting. And that's where we see the channel going. If it's a complete flop, or because of legal reasons, or the government pings each one of us off and all our friends are dying, then I might say I don't want any part of this.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. And then we'll keep doing this. But I love old stuff. I love my imagination to be able to come up with these ideas and these projects. I like the art projects of finishing something, and I don't want to do just straight EVs. And we will also be documenting the EV swaps. It will also be customers' cool vehicles that we're working on. It won't be just service vehicles. It will be older vehicles. Hey, do this to my 1950s whatever. Do this to my military truck. Have you ever tried doing it in a boat? Have you ever tried doing it in this? Have you ever, the variety will always be there. You know what? Instead of using a diesel engine, let's use this engine. Let's try that engine. Let's do this. Let's try that. Whoa, we've got way more efficiency. We got way better solutions to these problems that we had. We will continue entertaining you 100%. The Edison will only make this thing better.
Will the EV diesel truck get comparable range to a strictly gas or diesel truck? What about winter?
Okay, just a quick note. Andy did not agree with where I thought the channel was going, so he quit. He's no longer with us. But anyway, will it get the same mileage? No, it will get much better mileage. Winter will not affect it because it will have an inline diesel heater, which will warm up the batteries to the optimum temperature all the time. No different than the heater that is in transport trucks right now, heating the cab when it's when you're parked in the vehicle and the occupants are sleeping in it. So in the middle of winter, when it's freezing cold, on your phone before you go outside, while you're drinking your coffee, you go on the app, you turn it on, you drink your coffee. By the time you get there, you've got a vehicle that's already warm inside the cabin. The batteries are already optimum temperature, and you are good to go. The reason it is more efficient is because, like I mentioned earlier in the video, an engine has a certain power band, and you're trying to stay in that power band when that engine is the most efficient. It is inefficient out of that power band, but with a generator, you put that simple diesel engine to the proper RPM where it's the happiest, where it burns the least amount of fuel for the most amount of horsepower and torque that's putting out, and it's charging those batteries. Now if you take like a transport truck, And you imagine this 14, 15 liter engine that is pulling this load down the road. It's got 600 horsepower, it's got 2,000 foot-pounds of torque. It needs that when it's getting up to speed. When it's at speed, it doesn't need all of that. A lot of energy is wasted into heat that is dissipated and gone out the exhaust and is going into your cooling system. You've got all the friction of a giant engine. You got pistons that are parasitic losses. Everything, all of that is taken into account as fuel being burned and not the energy not properly recuperated. With the EV setup, that is eliminated. You put an engine up to 1 RPM, it stays there until the batteries are charged, and then it shuts off. You can recuperate all of your energy losses when you're braking. So when you've got a load behind you or just the pickup truck itself, when you slow down, you are able to, rather than burning brake pads when you are slowing down and turning that spent energy into heat that's now into your brakes, you're using that motor in the axle to recharge the batteries. You get full torque on an electric motor at 1 RPM, so that's something to consider as well. It's a much nicer driving experience. But to answer that question, no, we are anticipating 40 to 50% fuel savings, and Edison will be able to prove that once they're towing full loads with Topsy. Topsy is finished. It is heading back to British Columbia, the other side of Canada. Unfortunately, you can't drive it because legally it has to go to the spot where it was made, and somebody has to look at it and give it a stamp. Then they get plates, then they can drive it across the country. So you'll know for sure whether what I'm saying is 100% true or not, but they've seen the savings being significant already.
Can you explain why an e-axle versus just a motor retrofit?
Yeah, so motor retrofit, you still have an old axle. Definitely possible, but then you still have a motor that you have to mount in the frame with new drive shaft that pushes the parasitic loss of a differential. In the differential, you've got parasitic losses in the U-joints themselves, and it takes up space. So what we are looking to do is to give you a new driveline. So because if the motor snaps a U-joint, you're still left by the side of the road and all this doesn't work. You got to understand that electrics have crazy amount of torque. So there's less parasitic losses if the motors are right into the axles. Plus it saves so much space and is just a much better, cleaner setup than just another motor with more brackets getting in the way with drive shafts. Plain and simple. It's the best way to do it. Plus then we can guarantee that you've got a new driveline, that you aren't going to blow your ring and pinion or snap an axle. The axle is 100% rated. All the internals are rated for whatever that motor is going to put out.
What's your thoughts on the new Dodge Ramcharger and the Ford Maverick?
I haven't looked into either one to see exactly what they're doing. What they're doing, I'm sure, is along the same lines as what we're doing, and what we're doing is already being done in Europe. It's not anything new. It's just that we're doing retrofit kits for it. So if they want to do brand new setups, 100%, that's a good option. But we're doing it so that you don't have to go out and buy a brand new vehicle.
Is it better to buy a brand new truck with warranty and everything is modern and it works, or build your own truck with it all paid off?
Well, that gives you two different, it's impossible to compare the two, because just because it's brand new doesn't mean that everything works. And if it is under warranty, that's great. But if they don't have the parts, which is a big problem right now, you could be without a vehicle for 3-4 weeks. We're seeing that with a lot of semis. My brother trucks for a company and they've been without trucks for 3 months. 3 months without a truck that you're making payments on that isn't making you any money whatsoever is not a better way than an old vehicle. If you know what you're doing and you're building an old vehicle, sure, build something bulletproof. That's simple, but it depends what you're using it for. Are you using it to commute? Or are you using it for work? Are you doing it legally? Are you bending some rules? Like, are you going to get caught when you're doing this? Are you going to have to pay fines? All of the thing goes into consideration. I think the best vehicle is the one that you build yourself, but I'm confident in my building abilities, and I don't know if you are or if anybody else is. It can be a very frustrating experience when you don't get everything right.
What's the easiest and best way to make a harness for an engine swap? Is it pull both harnesses and mate them, or cut all the plugs off the harnesses and repin and build your own?
Again, it depends on what you're building. These are specific build projects that I can't answer, because like the F350, I took the entire harness from a 2008 and used that for the body control. The Cat has its own engine, wiring harness and transmission wiring harness, and then the monitoring for the gauges, I used the Holly. So that was the best setup for that. For the C10, the Duramax has its own engine, which I sent out and had a harness built and the vats removed, but all the wiring for the body, the best situation for that, because it's old, was a painless wiring harness. So that does all the lights and the wipers and the brake lights and all that stuff. And then for like the Silverado, I just keep it stock, and I changed some of the sensors from the Vortec engine and put that into the Cummins, so that the harness thinks that the Cummins is basically what was in there originally. So it really depends on what you're building and what you're after. So I can't answer that question.
What was the first time you were working on a vehicle and realized you're good at this?
So that was when I was 15 years old. I was working at a cucumber greenhouse, and the lady that was working there had a little S15, and she blew the engine. So we took her to the high school. The auto teacher didn't want to do it because we worked on vehicles for free there. He said, get it out of there. So I felt bad for her. So I told her, I asked my boss, can I do the engine swap at his place? He knew quite a bit about engines. I learned quite a bit off of him. Not up at that point, because I was just picking cucumbers, but she bought another S10. I bought Haynes manual at the local Canadian Tire. I read it, and every Saturday for 4 weeks I would go there. I pulled the engine out of the one and then I put it in the other. Went from a manual transmission to auto. I barely knew what an alternator was. I barely knew anything. I just knew that I could do this, and I did it, and it worked. And she drove that truck for another couple of years, and I fell in love with that right then and there on the spot. I'm like, this is awesome. This is something that is super complex, and I'm able to wrap my head around what's going on with like the way the energy goes in from a battery to a starter, turns it over, fires fuel, turns stuff, makes the transmission move, clutch engages, disengages, and spins the tires. And that, knowing that freedom releases something in your head where you're like, this is like freedom. Now I can take this knowledge and I can drive this vehicle and I can go anywhere. Where I had to ask my parents to go to the movies or go to my friend's house or go to the beach or whatever. Now I can do that all by myself. And I fell in love with that freedom, that idea, and that knowledge that it's not that complicated. And I've been turning wrenches ever since. It's been my favorite thing. I worked for a construction company after that, shortly after that. No, before that and afterwards. And I really enjoyed the building aspect of it as well, only because I could put a building up like this, a 40 by 60 pole barn, in like 5 days. And I enjoyed that because you got an immense amount of work done in a short amount of time. I love the smell of wood. I love the satisfaction of leaving the driveway at the end of the day and go, that's what I did. I put all the trusses on today. I put all the roof steel on today. And I really enjoyed that as well, but it's really tough on your body, and we have a very harsh climate. So it's very unpleasant working in both the winter and the summer because it's just too cold and too hot. So I figured climatized building inside with heated floors and air conditioning is where I want to be.
Is Canada worth it to emigrate to? And then do you ever plan on going back to the Netherlands?
Yeah, so I was born in Canada, then I moved to Holland when I was 1, moved back when I was 6. So it's funny because most of we are definitely complaining, and it's not great. It's absolutely not great right now in the political aspect of Canada compared to where we were 10-15 years ago. But we left Europe. My dad left Europe because the rules were so tight back there. So we're complaining about how strict the rules are now. That's because North America is 20 years behind Europe. We're complaining about all the rules that were in place in Europe 20 years ago. And I'm talking about farming. You can't spread manure on these days. You can't do this on that days. You have to have this type of management. You can't produce more than this. You have to do this. If you ever watch Clarkson's Farm, you understand how many rules they have to go through to do what they do. Those rules are migrating over to North America, and we're complaining about it now, but it's just because we're 20 years behind. So I would not go back to Europe. I do love Canada. I love the 4 climates. I love the people. I love the space. It's a beautiful, beautiful country. But definitely hoping that we get a change in the people who run this country, because that's not great right now.
How do you balance work and family now versus when you were a contractor versus mechanic before YouTube? Is it more work?
Yeah, so before YouTube, I didn't have kids. So then both my wife and I worked really hard, and we both worked. My wife worked 9 to 5, and I worked like 7 to 6. But she worked an hour away, so we got home at the same time, and it was good. So at that time, I was running a mobile mechanic service as well. And that led to a lot of service calls, especially after hours, because the equipment would be running throughout the day, and then weekends and nights I would be fixing the equipment. I've sometimes pulled full all-nighters to get equipment ready for the morning again, and then snow plowing, odds nights and stuff. I put in my dues on working stupid hours. I made a lot of business decisions on advice from people smarter than me that have been there, that have wished they did something different, or successful people that have given advice. And my advice to you is surround yourself with people that are smarter than you and pay attention and ask questions. If you were the smartest person in the room, find another room, because you've got nothing to offer. You have nothing to gain for yourself. You have lots to offer, but you have nothing to gain for yourself. Listening to those people, they said, you know what? I listened, and I bought my house when I was 19. I started my own business when I didn't have a massive mortgage, and I didn't have an entire family depending on me. And they also said, your kids grow up so fast that make sure that you pay attention to them when they're young. You could make the most money in the world, but your kids don't care. Like my kids do not care about all of my trucks. They care that I'm here with them sledding, that I'm reading them stories at night, that I take them to piano lessons and see their recitals. And that's where I am right now. So I'm listening to those people. When I got my kids, I sold my service truck, and I told the company that I was working for, I'm not coming to you anymore. You want work done, you got to bring it to me. So at least I can stop and go inside, have supper with the family, and read them their bedtime stories. Then I have no problem coming back out after their sleep and coming back and working for another 4, 5, 6 hours. That's fine. He didn't really like that, and I completely understand, because it's mostly heavy equipment, so it's a big deal to tow an excavator here or bulldozer here. He wants people to go to them, and because it's $1,000 just to get it in the driveway here, right? So we've done a few of them, but that petered down, and I was able to do better with YouTube. YouTube is still a pile of work. Aaron and I both put in 60 to 80 hours a week, no problem. But I work from home. We both work from home, so there's no commute. If you add up all the hours that you're sitting in traffic or driving somewhere or whatever, when my construction days and stuff too, by the time you go to the lumber yard and you go end up at the job site and you come home, you've wasted an hour and a half every day. I don't watch much TV. I watch a little bit, but if you take the time that's like, oh, I watched this whole series, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm generally working. And if I'm not, I'm behind the computer researching, doing stuff, answering questions, emails, whatever else, filling in what I need to do, bills, tax work, all of that. It all adds up very fast, but I put the kids on the bus every morning. I have breakfast with them every morning. I have supper with them every night, and I'm there other than when I travel. I try to keep the travel down as much as I can. It's a lot of work for our wives when we leave, because our kids are not quite 100% independent yet. But we make do, and then generally we let the wives go a weekend away, and we take the kids, and that allows us to do our trips. Now, our trips are not vacations. They are 100% work weeks, and like I said, I'm very difficult to work for. Andy said I was changing my clothes at the Twins when we were building the 55, and he's like, done for the day? And it was like 5 o'clock. I'm like, no, I'm on the second shift. It's just my clothes stink and I'm all sweaty. So new underwear, new socks, new t-shirt and pants, and I'm right back out again, another 8 hours on there. Like it's that, or watch TV, and that's just a waste of time. So right now I'm very happy with my work-life balance. When we get into the Edison thing and we have to move the shop, that might change a little bit again, and I'm not looking forward to that. But at the same time, right now, I love what I do, and I absolutely am enthralled with the companies that we're talking to and people that are doing. I love every one of my builds. I'm super happy where I am, but I'm not doing anything really of significance. I'm motivating some people, and I'm encouraging people to get into the trade and try new stuff. but I'm not really making a big impact. So being able to team up with Edison allows me to be part of something monumental. We've had amazing offers in that already. They're already led to a whole bunch of super interesting conversations, and it's a very interesting path to go to. Not that I want to be well known, or that was never the thing. It's just I want to build cool stuff and be a part of like-minded people.
Do you ever miss the field service life?
I do. The field service life is awesome because it basically leaves everything else behind and you're focused on one thing. When I look in the shop, there's like, oh, that's 100 hours, that's 200 hours, that's 300 hours before it's all done. Whereas in the shop, or sorry, in the field, you've got birds chirping, you've got grass under your feet, you got to change the scenery, new people to talk to, and you have a challenge in front of you that you need to overcome. You might not have all the parts that you need, you got to make it work. That equipment, you know, rain is coming tomorrow, we have to get this crop off now, make it work, just make it last long enough and we'll fix it properly tomorrow when you order the parts. And I love those things, and I miss that a little bit. I definitely miss the construction, the smell of wood, sawdust, the feeling of accomplishment at the end of the day, the sore muscles when you get in the house and it's like, oh, that was a good day, I am tired. And some days in the mechanic, I don't feel like that. You don't feel like you accomplished much. You did wiring or body work or something like that. There's just not as much satisfaction doing that. But yeah, I forgot what the question was now. I was just talking.
Do you miss it? Yeah.
Yeah, do I miss it? Yeah, I do.
How do you stay motivated and positive when times get tough as a mechanic young man?
Yeah, so the best thing to do is realize that everybody gets like that. And if they don't, they're faking it. If you see somebody behind the screen and everything is perfect, it's not. And I've had lots of difficult times. My relationship with my wife is probably the same challenges that any other married couple has, and the relationship with coworkers and whatever else. We all have our issues. To stay, so definitely don't feel that you are getting the short end of the stick or whatever. The best way to look at it is to not see the whole scope of the problem. So when I go into a build, if I knew that this car was going to have this much work into it when I started, that would have been way too daunting and I probably would have gotten discouraged. But we built the car in pieces and in sections, and even when we were building the first version of this car, you just tackle one problem at a time. Okay, we have to get this transmission made into this engine. That's my problem right now. Don't worry about anything else because that is not benefiting you right now. So tackle that one problem, get it done, and then you can look at the next problem. If you look at a puzzle, when you get a 1,000-piece puzzle, and you look at all those pieces, it's like, holy crap, I can't do this. This is way too much. But start with the border, all the straight edges. So simple, right? Oh, okay. And then put all the colored pieces together, so you know that those pieces go in the general area. And by the time you fix 6 problems, you've got 70% of the puzzle done, right? And then it gets easier. So just look at it one problem at a time, tackle that problem, come up with a solution, and if you can't, move on to something else. Like, I can't do this right now, I drop the project, I go home, I go in the house, I grab a coffee, or I switch projects, and then all of a sudden it's like, that's how I'm gonna fix it. And usually that happens at 2 in the morning, and I wake up my wife going, oh, that's how, oh. So yeah, one thing at a time.
What can we as viewers, fans do to help benefit you and make it less like work and more like fun to make these videos?
Ooh. I don't know. I never considered that before. Kind of in this 100%. I
mean, I love seeing our sticker on a truck.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
When I am out in public, when I am out in public, just coming up and saying, hey, I really appreciate what you do and I love your videos, and then shaking my hand and leaving. Do that whenever you possibly can. That's very encouraging. Keep commenting. Definitely let me know if I've said something or did something wrong in a constructive, positive way. One of those things I reminded is when we built the transmission for the Audi. it was like 2 lines, and I generally do read all the comments. I'm generally able to keep up. It's a nice thing, just at the end of the day, I kind of scroll through. Appreciate all your positive comments. Appreciate the criticism as well. The one guy's like, hey, at 23 minutes and 50 seconds in, you put the thrust washer in upside down. That was his only thing. Like, there's no like, I build Audi transmissions, I've done this. It's just like, wow. I sent the video to Peter, and he's like, actually, yeah, that's in upside down. We had to take the transmission apart, put that washer in. That would have saved the transmission. Like, it would have sent pieces through the transmission, and we would have cost us thousands of dollars. Stuff like that, I love it. Definitely with the Edison videos, it's something new that we're getting into. Contacts that you might know, hey, you need to check this out. Hey, you need to talk to this person. Hey, I'm a Ford tech and I know how to break into the body control module, or you need to do this, or you need to talk to this guy, or all that stuff is, hey, have you ever thought about this? Those are all super positive way to build the community and help us out. Also, yeah, go to the website, become a builder member, which get you discounts to all of our partners that we work with. So if you're building a project that benefits you and it benefits us, to build the community bigger, that definitely helps. Buying merch also helps. Just a little source of income to help pay the bills. And yeah, keep up, just keep watching, share the videos with your friends. So I thought you quit.
Nature calls. No.
Was that a good poop?
Yeah.
You feel better?
Yeah. Say so.
All right, what's next? Apparently Andy's back on payroll.
What was the best food or restaurant while visiting in the U.S.?
Yeah, that was Wagyu.
Well, yeah, that Wagyu was good. Those on that same trip, the oysters.
Yeah, they were pretty good. We went on adventure drives with a bunch of rich people. They know where to go.
Yeah.
Like we outside. There was one where I'm like, wow, this is the best food. That was the last trip, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was Texas. There was somewhere where we ate, and I'm like, this is the best food I've ever had.
Texas Live?
No. Oh, no. That's just
too.
more meat.
Yeah.
It was a lot of meat.
Oh, it's Nashville. The that home cooking?
No.
I know what you're talking about, though, yeah.
Wasn't it the last trip where I'm like, this is really good food?
Yeah.
Was it a Mexican restaurant? There was something where the food did not taste like all the other chemicals that you're ingesting in all the other.
Wasn't it a Chinese restaurant with the
no
with steamed windows?
I didn't have any problem.
It was like raining inside that restaurant.
Yeah, it was at like 98% humidity. like it would have been a place if you had those.
Where was that? I'm like, that was like such good food.
You know those like soilless plants? Those things would have gone nuts in there. Yeah, it's so wet. Like while Aaron was eating his like
his glasses were fog.
So it was odd. It was very, very moist in there. Very moist.
I can't remember, but it was this last trip.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, I feel really so what I've started now is in the boat video. Somebody said, you got a bit of a gut, Rich. You should try fasting. So I mentally I prepared for that, and I had a 2-day fast in long before Texas. I think 2 days was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I got back from Texas, I just didn't eat. I had a 3-day fast. No, I did the 2-day fast after Texas.
Right. Yeah.
And then after New Year's Day, I did a 3-day fast.
Yeah.
And that's the best feeling, actually. The best feeling is fasting right after spending a week eating American food. And then
not so much American, it's
100% American. So if you don't know, the Americans allow a lot more different ingredients and chemicals in their food than Canadians do. So you can have the same cereal in States and in Canada, and they have different ingredients. Doritos are different, chips are different.
Gotcha.
They allow different dyes in their food and preservatives that we don't.
Right.
So that stuff, because our body's not used to it, I just don't feel comfortable. Like, I don't feel well after eating nothing but American food for a week.
Yeah.
The milk tasted different. The eggs taste different. I don't know. We have our own chickens here. So when I fast, I feel great. And then whatever food my wife cooks after the fast is the most amazing food in the world.
It doesn't matter what it is. You're just used to better
Quality.
better quality, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we do get quantity down there. I take advantage of the quantity. But I haven't done the fast yet. I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's nothing wrong with it, man.
I do every day, but I do like 4-hour increments.
I made it to 42 hours the first time, and I made it to, like, just the way it worked out. We had a really late supper, and I wanted supper that night because it was a good supper, so it ended up being 68 hours without food, just water.
Why does toast always land butter side down?
Why do cats' legs always land down?
Why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? There's so many questions.
Don't drop your toast.
Can Godzilla heat up a burrito in a microwave so hot that he can't eat it himself?
No.
No, I don't think the microwave could get it hot enough. It maybe if it was a big enough piece of food, but I think the size of this food would be so small in comparison to Godzilla that it's not going to affect him.
Yeah, microwave is.
Yeah, I think everyone would agree with that.
Are we running out of questions?
That was the last one. I think a better question is, could Godzilla heat up a piece of food so hot that he can't eat it?
Yes. Yes, rewording that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Godzilla could do it with his atomic breath.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think he could heat up a piece of food that hot that it would affect him, but maybe not as much. Yeah. But if it's coming out of a microwave, it's got to be a big microwave.
Yeah. It's got to be an atomic.